Welcome, everybody, here to KC Happy Hour, episode number 59. My name is Xander Clements, your host. Joining me here is Aaron Hackmeister and Dalton Hanes to kick off our show. So we're going to go ahead and dive into a couple of topics that have come in here. We had a few races that got going over the race weekend. There was, first of all, a couple of events that went going, and we'll start their tickers along the bottom half of the screen. We covered it as the seasons progressed. Newcastle Motorsports Park once again held their warm-up event leading into the US Pro Kart Series finale here coming up later on this week, kicking off with Thursday practice. And then going on to Friday, we'll have the live coverage beginning earlier in the week. We're heading up here. Trevor's, I think, actually heading out here later tonight. I'll be heading up first thing in the morning to get up to Indiana for our final stop at Newcastle Motorsports Park on the major tour, which we'll explain a little more as to why that is our final stop later on in the show. But we'll get up there for the US Pro Kart Series finale. We also have at the end of this show doing our own little KC Fantasy League preview. Dalton will be making his picks along with Aaron, myself, Tony Tesoro will be joining the show a little bit later on, and Connor Zilisch will be joining us back for his first show in a little bit of time. There was also the Southwest Regional Cup Series, which is just had its inaugural event over the weekend down at Katy, Texas at the Gulf Coast Kartway. The cool part about that program is that they're heading to Oklahoma Motorsports Complex with Roddy Berryhill and their group. They haven't hosted racing action in a long time on the sprint karting side, so that series headed there in I think about a month's time. I think it's the week before the Miami USA Grand National Championship. So that kind of super club becoming a super club series, regional state championship series that kicked off. And then, of course, the SKUSA California Pro Kart Challenge was underway over at Santa Maria here this weekend. I believe, actually, is this what we've got it from? Yes. So, yeah, thank you, Aaron. We got our visual aid from the SKUSA PKC finale second to last event over at Santa Maria. It's kept those guys busy. They had a SKUSA Mexico event the weekend before, so another regional event knocked off the books for them. Billy Musgrave actually took the win in KA Senior and cleaned up between shifter where he's only been running and then winning in the KA Senior class. Jesus Vasquez Jr., who is now a national champion. And every time we talk about SKUSA PKC, we look to the KA Junior class. He's very rarely not on top of the box. So congrats to him. And then a few other names you'll recognize at the bottom of the screen. Obviously, karting legend Billy Cleveland was there, mopped up an X30 Masters. Turner Brown's a kid under the Speed Concepts Racing banner in mini, and now kind of starting that transition into junior. I think we'll see him on the entry list here for this weekend, but I hadn't taken a super close look at some of the support classes as we get into that. But that was a little bit of all the different regional racing that was going on over last weekend. Obviously, this week's got the national spotlight with the US Pro Kart Series coming up, but there was some news that kind of came across our desk over the last 7 days. First, let's get into it. The US Pro Kart Series had a number of different updates, and Aaron, if we could pull those up onto the screen here to go through them first and foremost. They had two different ones, one all in the same kind of update. This was directly off of the Facebook page. First of all, this is saying, and we'll get into the dealing about the IAME Swift engines and kind of add a little bit of clarity there. The clarity is really well provided off the US Pro Kart Series website, but if you didn't already catch that, it basically goes over, they did have one DQ, but it was for the air tube length that was outside of the specifications as they came to find out. The air tube, it wasn't a modified part. It was a part that was outside of the rule book set, but it had made its way over to the States. So, which they'll clarify here in this other little graphic that we've got. This is ripped off their US Pro Kart Series website. They're doing a nice little, oh, dang it, Aaron. I thought it was going to work.
Let me upload that again then. Hang on.
Yeah, we'll throw that up. They're going to have let's see. If it pulls, if not, we'll go back to what we had on the other one. But they're doing. At least I know what we've got for that one. I read it ahead of time, thankfully. So they're doing a free exchange program to make sure that they give everyone the right parts in compliance, and they reverse the DQ that was on that.
Isn't it working? All right.
Don't worry about it, man. We'll just keep going. The other part that was important is the Thursday practice. As per usual, when we go to racetracks, a lot of these major series that we'll offer Thursday or even sometimes Wednesday practice with the Florida Winter Tour, that's operated by the track. So the track's going to have full access on the wristbands there. Everyone's got to have a track wristband to be there Thursday. But the last thing, this is the actual, at least talking point that's more fun for us, is the epidemic of dads, mechanics, etc., in the mini and the micro classes shoving the cadet karts off the grid, and it's become a little bit dangerous. To give a little bit of clarity of how this class has evolved, which, as addressed here, they're not going to allow them to push off for happy hour qualifying. They've got to leave the grid without assistance. If they get pushed off the grid, they're going to lose their fastest lap in happy hour or in qualifying, which is where that stuff predominantly happens. But this class, any of the cadet classes, really, micro or mini, I think it was a little bit worse off in micro, and then it's moved up as those kids and mechanics have moved up into the mini class, and it's kind of a monkey see, monkey do thing. We go back just a few years ago, and the trend of wanting to, and I don't even know if it's a few years ago trend, to me, that's when I started to spot it and thought it was hilarious, and that was when the mechanics and the parents would start pushing to the grid as early as 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour before their section actually goes out on the racetrack to line up, so that way their kid, no matter how fast or slow their kid was, would be the first one off the grid. And what would normally trigger the entire class to do it is a parent or mechanic or coach or whatever of a slower driver that they wanted to get more experience in the front, especially a slower driver, maybe not the slowest, but a slower, less experienced driver that in that age group, they're normally very timid to pass. So if they feel like their kid mid-pack pace, backpack pace was going to burn a session because they'd catch someone there a little bit faster than and not find a way to pass them, they figured the best way to solve that is to send their kid out first. And then all of a sudden, the same domino effect happened where the fast guys don't want to get held up in the first part of their session. So they started showing up to the grid first. And then it became a race of who could get to pre-grid first. At Supernats and at Rock Vegas and at even the Florida Winter Tour temp races, anywhere that has a pre-grid area instantly got flooded. Even at the permanent tracks that have a little more square footage to play with, got flooded with micros and minis showing up. Yeah, they would show up literally 3 to 4 sessions before theirs, or when the grid marshal would take a lunch break, before they'd even leave the grid to take the lunch break, the first few mini and cadet karts would show up there, and then that has evolved, and that's just to show again like how the craziness on the non-driver side of trying to position your driver to be in a competitive position in that class. You don't want them to get burned out. You know, if you have a really experienced kid, which you'll see like Keelan Harvick hardly is ever doing that. Every once in a while they'll go out at the front, but a lot of times they know he's fast enough and he knows he can build his own gap because practice is about putting laps in. They'll go out at the back. They'll let the mayhem go out front, and then they'll go in the back, but you still catch guys on slow laps. So it was a way of kind of, taking it out of the young drivers' hands to build their own gaps or find a smart place to run in practice. That is never an issue in X30 Junior or Senior or KA Junior, Senior or 206 or Shifter, because all of as they progress up, realize I don't need to be the first one out to get clear racetrack. I can make it. The tracks are long enough to hold everybody. The series are good with the sessions. So the opposite happens. You have everybody waiting at the back of the grid, and the marshals normally have to kick everybody up. So this is just, again, one problem that I always thought was kind of silly. And then the other problem that has also been one guy does it. Now everybody feels like they have to do it. And that is they grab the go-kart by the steering wheel. I wish I had my sim rig a little bit closer to me. These are my roommate's sim rigs behind me. But you grab the steering wheel and you're grabbing the back of the seat. You're grabbing the bumper and you're throwing these guys off because the clutch engagement is relatively low. So if they're idling for a few minutes, or even if they just start up, they may bog a second when the carburetor floods with fuel, and it takes them a second to get off the grid. So they're trying to give their kid a good tow, so they don't want them to be lagging off of the grid to go on the racetrack. They want them leaving the grid right behind someone. And so as soon as someone does that extra little push to get that kart further ahead, then the guy behind them wants to do that. And then you have a lot of people that maybe are not in the best shape or just lose their balance, and you have people falling in front of go-karts when they push them off the grid. It is a terrible epidemic. So
what Hender's trying to say is that whenever you get into the grid, you see a whole bunch of fat adults that are mechanics that are just shoving these kids off as fast as they can, and sometimes tripping over stuff and falling over. And
I've definitely seen parents get hit by like other kids as they're doing it, and they like lose their step or something, and some kid just smokes them. It's so bad. To go to the other point, though, I remember the first time I ever worked with Austin Olds was GoPro USPKS last year. Austin was the first class in the schedule. It was K Junior, first class in the schedule. We would go up to the grid a reasonable 10, maybe 5 minutes before the session starts, and it would just be swamped with like, I think micro was right after, swamped with micro guys. Yeah. And I was like, hey, can we like do something to let me get through here? Because I can't sit here and do nothing. And we ended up like having them do this big line all the way around the outside of the pre-grid area. And everybody was like, oh,
you guys were before micro.
Yeah,
we were before micro, and micro was already at the grid.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they were always worried about like, oh, well, the kid, we're up there first. Like, how do we keep our position? It's just line up in order of when you get here. You don't need to crowd the entrance, because I can't get my driver in there. And I was about ready to start just running into people's carts on the stands and pushing them out of the way. It was so bad.
You think it'd be a Black Friday sale where they were giving like, free tires away for the first one onto the grid, for the first grid spot. It's ridiculous. And then again, like the pushing off the grid is terrible. And they get run over. And not only that, like the dads that wouldn't push would then sometimes get into like fights, or the mechanics would get into fights with each other because someone would push off faster, and they would get the kid that maybe was fifth on the grid, and he gets out to the access road ahead of the kid that was third on the grid. And then now they're mad and they're beefing for about 2 minutes before they realize it didn't matter. The kids crashed in turn one anyway, because you sent them out 3 wide, 30 deep. So, now they're not mad at each other, and they got to go fix the go-karts at the back. But USPKS is not the only one that's starting to try and do what they can to alleviate the madness. SKUSA for SuperNets has assigned grid spots based on the order you register, which might be the biggest brain play I have seen in a minute in the North American karting scene, because they have had no issue filling up entries in the cadet classes, because all the parents that want the first spots are trying their hardest to load up the registration software and drop $1,000 on entry fees and tires included to make sure that they are the highest up on the grid that they possibly can. Because until the grids get reset later on in the weekend and we're actually racing and they're set off qualifying based off the last practice, which is like how happy hour is, that's gone. So maybe that's something. Well?
No, is that why Hannah doesn't win the first entry for Vegas anymore? I remember like a few years back, she win every year was first entry to Vegas.
Yeah, listen, I'm not knocking. I'm not knocking the kid who ended up first. I don't know if that was their play or not, but that's. I mean, look, I full credit to him. If I really think that my kid needs to be the first one off the grid, I think that's great. I know as a driver, when I was slow, it was terrifying, and you kind of don't really get a good session because you get passed every quarter, and you're afraid of getting walled by somebody. But yeah, I think that was genius, because these series are trying everything they can to make sure that they have, cash in hand pre-entries, not because they need the cash early. I mean, that always helps to have a little extra capital going into the weekend to spend on stuff versus having a big credit card bill and then paying that off after the weekend. But more than anything, they need to know how much tires to order, how much fuel to order, how much oil to order, all that kinds of stuff. And then from a staffing perspective of obviously how many race directors and on-track people and off-track, tech marshals they need. Like, they want to know those numbers, because if you don't have, a down payment of a pre-entry in some way, there's nothing that holds you to the event. So, again, to literally solve two problems with one solution, absolutely genius by SKUSA, and I don't want to take the spotlight off the USPKS guys for trying to put a notch on this problem by doing a fast lap penalty. Also, a very simple solution to a very big and dangerous problem on the grid of the mechanics pushing the go-karts off. So credit to both programs for taking some steps on that. So that was some news that we're going to get to see tested and battle tested here this week. Excited to see. Hopefully, all right, I'm excited in two ways. On a real point, I'm excited that they're going to solve this problem, and hopefully this problem goes away, and one or two parents are going to push off the grid, get a penalty, cry about it, say they didn't know about the rules. Then they're going to get a phone shoved in their face that says, here's our rule update. You should have read it. It's the same website that you pre-entered on. It's on Facebook, which you're on whenever you're not on Race Hero, so you should have known. But also, I'm kind of excited in like the devil on my shoulder to see what is the next trend of mini and micro super coaches and mechanics, and then unfortunately the parents end up following suit because they see people that are making a living in the industry doing this silly thing. I don't know what it could be. I've seen you see people blow up motors on the stand trying to warm them up, or heat the brakes up, heat the clutch up, whatever. It'll be something. Something will happen, but at least again, they're
for the grid issue. I think it's going to end up being everybody backs up and trying to get a rolling start up to the end of the pit lane before they let them go to get a better run rolling out of the pits. And then that would slow drag races to the line.
Oh, yeah, but it won't be slow. So, I mean, like Road America's got a long grid. Newcastle has a long grid. Like if they're gonna try and like time it from when the grid marshal and like trim, like the drag racing term of like seeing the motions on the grid marshal of when they finally give the motion to go on the racetrack, and they're gonna send them at 20 miles an hour over the something stupid's gonna happen.
Yeah,
something
some kid's
stupid.
gonna fire a go-kart. We're gonna wreck 15 go-karts behind him. Like, it's gonna be bad. But that's what I see the next thing being now.
No. Then, fifth place is going to pay for first place's spot on grid. That's what's going to happen.
That could be it. That could be it. Yeah, at the session, you could see guys getting up to the grid early and bartering.
200,
I'm surprised someone hasn't done that already. I mean, at least like hold. I'm sure it's probably actually happened where they try and like hold the first grid spot, and then like, I could see that really angering like the second and third carts in line on the grid if the guy in first just starts bumping their go kart backwards into them, so that way they make room for another spot.
I hope
we go on about this all day. Silly.
It's not the case for X30 Senior, is it? Because
I don't think so.
I need to buy an entry quick.
I think it's just for the because you don't have the problem in the X30C, and it's. I mean, the groups get reset. You go out on the track whenever. Like if you have to go to a back grid spot, doesn't matter. The grid spots are angled at Supernats anyway. So
it is somewhat helpful at Supernats to start near the front, just because I remember specifically in one of the later pack sessions during the day on one of the days, it got really crowded because, like you said before, some kids are forced to start at the front because the mechanic or because the officials push them forward, and then you'd have kids that would slow down in the middle of the field that would just try to let people by.
Yeah,
and it got extremely crowded, like with like 20 go-karts in like one corner, and there was a huge pile up, and I barely got around it. It was horrible. So it does help to start at the front sometimes, just because you have people that you don't know what they're going to do in front of you, but it just depends.
Yeah. Well, in either case, USPKS taking a stand on the pushing off the grid. I'm sure that's going to be appreciated by many. I think it is a smart thing to do as an outsider. It is safe, obviously, from their perspective of insurance, of no more injured older dads, mechanics, tuners tumbling down the grid. I'm sure that's going to be helpful. I agree with that, Christy. I think the direct drive. I don't know. Well, were there ever direct drive cadet carts? I don't remember seeing a lot of them. I think there were more pull start in the. Well, maybe there were back in the day. It would be have to be way back in the day for cadet carts for me. I've never seen a direct drive cadet cart besides the shifters that they like Brent Cruz's stepdad Matt will put on as a monstrosity to go and beat let his 9-year-old beat around. But anyway, that was the news on the USPKS side. On the SKUSA front, good news for the gearbox drivers, the guys who actually know how to bump start a go-kart. Damn, Aaron, your graphics are hurting us today.
Technical difficulties are up.
The good news is SKUSA has opened the pro shifter category to 88 entries, which means that there will be an LCQ, which is exciting for us because now both of the headline classes, really if you want to count KA Senior as kind of a tertiary headliner, all three are going to have the full alphabet soup it's not technically alphabet soup, but A, B, C, D groups, which means multiple heats. That means double the racing for the top viewed categories, the most exciting categories. Pro Shifter will have that as well because they sold out very fast to 44, and they quickly got a very big wait list. According to the Facebook post and Instagram post they put out just a couple of days ago, they were up to 75 reserve slots. So that means over 30 drivers had already gotten themselves onto the wait list in case someone would back out, which means that there's only 13 more spots if you're not on the wait list to get into Pro Shifter. We're still 2 months out, but that is going to be a hell of a show. 15 grand on the line for Pro Shifter is going to be super cool to see. It sounds like all the stars are going to come in, and we're going to get a lot of North America's best, the Europe's best, the Aussies are back. So that'll be cool to see them both in the X30 Pro and the Pro Shifter categories throwing down. And then let's see if our last graphic of news is going to work here today. We're going to pray for it. Okay, there we go. We got one up, Aaron. The Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals number 6, presented by Nitro Kart. We had a lot of questions from a lot of our 206 racers that are headed to this event. If we were going to be there, I'd cover it on this show. It was not originally part of our plans as we got closer and closer. We have a lot of race weekends. Obviously, one this week. We have 2 races next week with the Texas Sprint Racing Series season finale at Speed Sports Racing Park, a night race Friday and Saturday night. Then we're also doing a charity event up at Whiteland Raceway Park that we're streaming Sunday afternoon. We've got the US Pro Kart Series this week, and then right after CKNA Grand, there's the Stars Championship Series finale, and then the Miami Grand Championship. So there's a lot of racing going on. We had mentioned we hadn't been in contact, full disclosure, with the CKNA guys and Greg Jasperson. He's been on the show before. They're an awesome group. They put on good races. They put on the biggest, grassroots event now with the USAC Battle at the Brickyard gone. And so they've got a live broadcast partner that you guys may not have heard of by the company name, but they are the guys that do the F4 US and Formula Regionals Championship live stream, and they do a solid job there. They got a cool graphics program. I know for us, having the weekend at home to plan, to recoup, to be ready for it, we'll probably have it on our TVs learning. I encourage you guys, even though it's not a KC branded broadcast, to go and make sure that you support them as well, because it's karting as a whole. And, I'm not so ego-driven to believe that we have to be the only streaming company in town. I think they'll do a fine job. I know, obviously, Dave McIntyre, the voice of Cup Karts North America, will be up there on the mic. Randy Kugler was up with him last year. I haven't spoken to Randy about this event, but if you like Randy Kugler, if you're a fan of his announcing and, of course, his legendary family's history in karting, he'll be on the mic with me this week at the US Pro Kart Series event. But this kind of helps add a little bit of clarity. I wanted to give some light to it. Also wish them obviously best of luck. I'm sure they'll do a fine job, but give it or at least positive stamp there as well. If that was ever into question, it's cool to see more guys taking an interest, companies, in coming back to streaming, because it's not like we're the first guys to ever stream karting race in general, but even in North America, there have been other media groups that have done live streams of races, that have done media coverage at events. So, to have all those more guys involved right now this year, in the coming years, is nothing but good for the sport. And it's cool that these guys, I think this is going to mark 4 years in a row, because he started at CKNA Grands 3, so now up to CKNA Grands 6. They're going to have a live streaming group, so it's a different group than what they've had streamed before. But these guys do a solid job. They obviously do a great job at the car racetracks with the F4 US Series and the F4 Regional Series. Again, we won't be there to do our kind of content at the event. We'll probably talk about it a little bit on Happy Hour. I know as we get closer, we've got some awesome partners. John Sagan with Precision Performance Karting has been a long-standing marketing partner here with KC Happy Hour. So we'll give those guys some love as we get closer to that event, and probably feature some of the top 206 guys that'll be there to talk about it. Brandon Jarskrek might as well be one now, since we don't know when his next major pro national start will be, but I know he's on the entry list to race. Austin Garrison's on the entry list to race. Yes.
No way.
Yeah. He raced it last year. Him and Paulie went and ran last year, and with the PPK guys, they're going to run again this year. So
I heard there's a lot of hype behind it.
There is. It's
behind CKNA Grands?
Well, in a good way, right? It's kind of like Brandon going and running there, right? But not with a full Mike Doty racing operation, but with Coyote. It's an American brand. It's a 4-cycle brand. It's kind of like, the NASCAR debate of like when they'd want, Cup guys to go run. It's cool if they go run in like Xfinity Teams equipment versus like a Cup guy going and running in a Joe Gibbs car, or Ty Gibbs Xfinity car. That stuff's so I think that's cool, having the big. I think it legitimizes it. It's cool for those guys to run against him. Obviously, it's a lower skill ceiling with less horsepower, so they get to play around with those guys a little more than letting Garrison. I mean, those guys would walk.
I definitely think it's awesome because you have like a national level event, but that it's like you said, it's lower horsepower. It's obviously cheaper, and it's cool because for me, I have fun when I go to a regional or a club race at Copa, right? And that I enjoy the weekend. But when you have a big high stakes race like Super Nats or Miami Grand Nationals, it's really the whole weekend. You're not even focused on having fun. You're just nervous and you're just focused on driving well. When you have an event that's a national level event, you really want to win, but it's not as expensive. So you're not worried about tracking too much. You have more fun. I was talking to Tristan Farber and Alexander Cyril, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
And they've done it before. And they said, yeah, it's really, really fun because you're enjoying it the whole time. And Alex got taken out in one of the races. And he's like, whatever. I mean, it's cool. It happens, because apparently there's a lot of people that like to take you out in that race. But I mean, if it's a fun race, I would want to do it. I mean, I probably can't.
Every race is fun. 13 DNFs. It's such a fun race to go to. I ran it for that first broadcast back in 2019, and I've worked as a tuner the last couple of years, and it's super fun just to go and be at. It's a different atmosphere. Like CKNA, like I was saying about CKNA earlier, it's a different atmosphere than a big Miami Grands or USPKS or SKUSA event, but it's so much fun. It's a lot more laid back, and just generally it feels more grassroots. It feels a lot more like a grassroots event, but it's still a lot of fun. And
I love that about racing, like the fun, bringing the fun aspect back into racing. Like everyone's always talking about, like there's always haters, and there's always there's so much hate behind like the national scene now, and there's so much like passion behind it, like real passion. Like everyone on the grid at X30 Senior, at least from my experience, like feels as though they have a shot at winning at some point. You see some of these grids and there's you don't see a single name really that can't compete for at least the top 15. And it's we're all within tenths of a second. And it's really it's really intimidating looking at an entry list. But when you go to a big race like that, it just brings the fun aspect back into it. Like you see those big names, and rather than being scared or intimidated, you get excited. You're like, oh my gosh, he's in that race. Like I'll be able to race against him and I have a chance of beating him, So seeing Brandon Racecraft and Austin Garrison on the entry list is actually really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's cool. It's a different event because the costs are lower. I think, Greg, when we had him on the show, he was adamant about wanting to make sure that, they're going to lose control a little bit of grands and trying to make it where the privateer doesn't get intimidated by bigger and bigger operations showing up. I mean, it's a showcase event where Nitro is going to, obviously they're the title sponsor. I'm sure they're going to have a massive crew there. MGM had, I think, about 30 under their operation. VLR had a big operation last year. So the big, manufacturers that put a lot of focus on the entry-level 206 classes and a lot of focus on club racing. That's kind of their big showcase. It's good for them on the year. So it's kind of hard to keep the privateers fully, feeling like they're not, outgunned. But it's much closer than, showing up to any of the other USPKS, SKUSA, Rock, Miami Grands races, feeling just from the cost being a little bit lower. And you just see it, we'll see this weekend at Newcastle that where they place the temporary fence to separate the paddock from the outside, non-tow vehicle car parking is much closer in on the property than when they will have the CKNA Grand show up in a few weeks, because when CKNA Grand show up, you have a lot more people that make it their annual family vacation and pilgrimage, which is really cool. So you have a lot more RVs, cheaper tow behind campers and stuff like that, and a lot less individual cars, a lot more small trailers, even if they go and pit with a big tent, like they're driving there, which is cool. So that was to me one of the biggest shocks, is it's the same amount of people. It's still a 300 drivers, more or less, because a lot of guys run at least 2 classes in the senior ranks. Than what we'll see this week, than what we'll see at the SKUSA Summer Nats. But you will see a lot more people bringing their own stuff and making it like one big weekend where they come to Newcastle, migrate there, camp there, hang out there, and that's their big travel event for the year, which I think is a great fit for an entry-level national. If you're going to go national racing, you want to try one out and you're on your own, I think it's a safe way to get in, especially if you have a 206 that you race at your local club or regional series. So it's cool. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's cool seeing, like you said before, with everyone in the campers, and like you see like some smaller trailers and you see the big teams. I think it's cool you see the big teams coming to a race like this, and you also see just everyone in general having more fun. And like I said before, like racing is like super serious most of the time. Like for me, especially growing up and still being a kid, and still my thought process was going into the weekend was serious before fun. Like just be focused and just be ready to win. And like sometimes it's nice to go back to a club race and be like, and just chill, and have fun, because that's what it's really all about at the end of the day. When it comes to the overall perspective, you only have one winner. Only one person's going to win the race at the end of the weekend, and you might have 2 winners if it's a double 2 finals. So like for a series, you have to look at it as, okay, well, you have 1 winner, so 1 kid's going to be really happy at the end of the weekend. Why don't we make it so that everyone's happy by the end of the weekend? Everyone is always talking about this race. You have people talking about it for the whole year, excited to do it. And then even if they get wrecked out, they're still excited to do it next year. That's how you know you have a fun program going on.
Yeah, no, and that's what it's focused on, right? They do more raffle prizes than any other series because they don't put purses up to win. It's cool if you do win one of the classes or get that title for the year, but anyone that can show up can finish in any position and could walk away with a cooler or a set of tires or a motor or generator. I mean, a lot of contingency prizes that are really cool. And hey, like you talk about guys who show up and run races without expecting to win. David Cole goes and runs that thing almost every other year. He's somewhere around 30th at 206 Supermasters. So, I can't wait to get that on clipped, and then I'm going to hear myself roasted on a DKN podcast somewhere. I love David. I want that to be clear. I just love making fun of him, but he's awesome. We'll see him this week. In any case, we're going to take a commercial break. We've got a few more segments to come here tonight. Hayden Jones is one of the few drivers that's been up front in the top 5, top 10 of the X30 Pro class this year that we haven't really gotten a whole lot of love to. So we'll have a little bit of an interview with him. And then after that, Dalton will come back and join us. And we're going to talk about our picks for the KC Fantasy League. Connor Zilisch will join us, and Tony Tesoro will join us at the very last segment of the show and give you guys a bit of a preview for Newcastle, going back to the original standard national layout that hasn't been run in a couple of seasons. We'll be back here right after this.
Line has steadily made progress since its inception in October 2021. On top of servicing the Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana areas with products from Comp Kart Chassis, Tillotson Karts and Engines, Miami, Briggs, Honda, and more, they're now promoting race events as well throughout the mid and coastal South region at NOLA Motorsports Park and Finish Line Performance Karting in Biloxi, Mississippi. Races are already set for the fall of 2022, September 3rd, October 22nd, and November 12th at NOLA Motorsports Park, and 2 dates, September 10th and October 15th at Finish Line Performance Karting. Driver line is set to finish this year strong. KC Happy Hour is presented by Precision Performance Karting. PPK is the exclusive South Florida distributor for the American-made Coyote Zenith kart racing chassis. PPK is offering trackside support at all the Cup Kart South Division events, the CKNA majors, including the Spring Nats and the Grand Nats, the Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and a number of club events in the Southeast. New here for 2022 and in partnership with Brandon Jarscrack Racing, PPK is also offering full arrive and drive opportunities in the junior, senior, Briggs 206 classes at the popular Stars Championship Series and the GoPro Motorplex Karting Challenge events. The same professionally prepared kart and motor package has propelled Brandon to victories at Winter Nationals and the Monticello Divisional in 2022 are available to you. In addition to the Coyote line of racing chassis, Precision Performance Karting is also a distributor for Odenthal Racing products, Hilliard clutches, Vega tires, and Greyhound racing seats. Check out Precision Performance Karting on Facebook and Instagram or email them at ppkartingfl@gmail.com. From 4-stroke to 100cc to 125cc and beyond, Technokart USA has a winning option for you. Based out of Des Plaines, Illinois, Technokart USA offers both chassis designed to win in all divisions of North American karting and a top-level race support program at the US Pro Kart Series, Route 66 Sprint Series, select Cup Karts North America races, and both the Rock Vegas and SKUSA Super Nationals. Podiums, wins, and championships are waiting for you whenever you're ready to get on a Technokart. For more information, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TechnoKartUSA.
Welcome back to the studio here, everybody. Joining myself and Aaron for his first time on KC Happy Hour is Mr. Hayden Jones. Hayden from a beautiful dorm room.
Yep.
Freshman in college. How are you doing, man? Great to have you.
Well, I've already been sick once and had to go home, so probably not the best experience so far.
So you've been going to way too many frat parties to kick off your college career, I see.
No, not too many.
Well, dude, let's go ahead. Obviously, you're there, which meant that you weren't at the test weekend. You haven't been doing a lot of the test weekends this year, but you're active when you can at your home track at GoPro. I think that's the first topic we can dive into for a little bit, and you can give it from the flip side perspective. Because when we talk to Ryan, we talk to Paulie sometimes, to Garrison, to Kremers. They're there at most of those test weekends doing R&D. You're not. You're going into this weekend with a real legitimate shot at getting the second of the two regular season vice champion awards, right? Ryan's too far gone, but you could get that. So you've already done it once at Newcastle. Do you feel like when you show up Thursday, you're on the back foot, or you're a step behind these guys from that test?
Not necessarily. I mean, I've already ran the track. Obviously, it hasn't been run in a few seasons, so not many people have a lot of experience with it if they weren't running it last weekend. So I don't know how it's really going to be, but I'm not nervous or anything going into the weekend.
And then walk us through that then, like for SKUSA Summer Nats, for example, right? Again, same thing, no test weekend for you. You show up, you run. Is it for kind of first session right off the bat, you're able to follow a few guys and be good, or does it take a little bit of your time Thursday to get to where they were when they come off the truck Sunday?
I mean, it takes about 2 to 3 sessions really to start like being within a tenth of Ryan and working with the rest of the team, because we're doing data every session, so it doesn't take long to get up to speed.
Now let's go into a little more of the deeper stuff from what we've seen on the broadcast this year? Because, we've had Ryan on the show, right? We've talked a lot about how RPG has had such a meteoric run, and you don't get that run without getting frustration from the rest of the field. And you experienced that, I think, more at Summer Nats than we'd seen in a minute. We saw it escalate over at Utah as well. We saw it a little bit at Road America. When did you start really feeling that like the guys were kind of throwing their elbows at you more just because of the team and go-kart you're on?
It really just happened at Newcastle for SKUSA. That was the first time I really experienced it. And I mean, it was just like Austin got out front and just started blocking. And then it was a 15 kart pack for the lead. And it just ended up with all the RPG drivers just getting either moved out of the way, like potted, or just hit somehow.
Yeah. And it's no question. They've had good, what were you going to say, Aaron?
How does that change you guys going into the weekend? Like from say Orlando, USPKS, GoPro, USPKS to now, does your mentality heading into the races change at all? Are you worried more about the damage control aspect of possibly getting taken out? Do you just not care about it at all?
Well, I do care because I'm going for second in the championship, but the mentality really, it has changed, not as much as you probably think, because even though they want to wreck us, it's still they're still really good drivers, and they'll do what they want on purpose. It's not trying to take us out completely. They'll just try and screw us. So I know I'm not going to get completely wrecked out, but definitely have to take more precaution and give them more space than normal. Just be extra safe when I'm on track.
Yeah, it's almost like more defensive driving. Do you guys talk? Have you guys had conversations like that before some of those sessions, like during the Summer Nats weekend? Yourself, Ryan, maybe with Mike or with Danny, with the coaches, and being, hey, keep your head on a swivel for this specific reason beyond just a normal pre-race talk. Have you had talks like that now in the tents?
No, we really didn't have a team talk. It was just on the grid. Ryan was just take the punches and let them just get out of their way and then go back at them because you're faster, you have the pace, and just wait for it to come to you.
So let's go and go focus on you, right? Obviously, you're on a banner operation. It's not like you didn't have results before you went there, but you've had good results since you've been with it. Let's just dial it back to a year ago, your sophomore season, 2021. Started with Team Nitro, ended with RPG, but just in a year's time, are there things about yourself as a driver you feel like you've gotten better on? Could you point out specific parts where you feel like you're even more developed here in 22? What stuff you've worked on?
Oh, for sure, 100%. Just working with everyone, being so professional, working with Mike, Ryan, Danny just came onto the team. We all talk to each other and we all communicate, and it's just being able to understand a lot more of what's going on with the kart and everything now. It's just so much easier to communicate.
So learning from those guys, right? Because when you came on to the operation, when you joined with them, were you still do you make more calls on your own personal setup on the go-kart now than say that opening weekend at GoPro or the first few weeks of the season, or were you kind of deferring to a lot of their judgment and then it's transitioned?
No, so we're not allowed to make changes. The mechanics aren't allowed to make changes. It's all based off of one guy. So he Joni gets feedback from every driver and basically just does what he wants to whichever kart he thinks if he wants to test one thing on Ryan's kart versus my kart, he'll do that. Or if he wants to make a different change on this kart or this kart, he really just decides everything. And having being able to communicate better now and understand what's really going on, I feel I've been able to help him make the karts even faster, because now it's not just Ryan. Obviously Hannah's not racing X30 anymore, so now he has to rely on other people to give him feedback too, and not just Ryan.
So it's more like a formula car or sports car, engineer and driver relationship than driver and mechanic, where a lot of more the standard would be.
Yeah, it's very professionally set up with everything how Mike has set it up.
So, you feel like you've got it more and communicate more. I mean, obviously the knowledge has helped. Let's talk on-track stuff. I know talking with your dad when we see you at some race weekends, it felt like you kind of had pieces and now you're putting them together more. Do you feel let's say from, Utah even, or, earlier this season, USPKS, and then as you kind of started putting results together, consistently. Road America, SKUSA, Summer Nats, Newcastle. Like, what was different? What was the switch that, finally seemed to come all together?
So the speed has been there kind of the whole time. Like, I've always been pretty fast, top 5 every session. I may not, like, some sessions might be an all ball out, but it's really like working with Ryan and getting the driving aspect down, what to do in this situation versus this one. Like, just quick thinking. It's just understanding your situations.
Makes sense. I mean, that's where a lot. I think we see it a lot in the broadcast booth when we have this kind of third party view. And I don't know if I even paid much attention to it in the races that I drove, and it wasn't, I don't think, nearly as cutthroat as we are now, right? Like Dalton said at the beginning, I wouldn't say that the 2019 X30 fields, and then even going further back, had the depth of ability where if you did make the wrong decision in the first 3 laps and got shuffled, you couldn't come back through. I think you could back in those days. I don't know if you can really well now. You might get to like 5th or 8th, but if you really make the wrong decision in the first 5 laps, everyone's going to be the same speed. Smart enough drivers that you won't have it. Like, the depth seems like it's more. So when you make your right pass, right, how do you deal with each driver and each pass? Ryan's obviously really good with the chess game. And you think that's been the big part of what's kind of made your results come?
Yeah, I think so. Just working with him, like being able to defend like different drivers and like different ways to defend going into a corner has like helped at Newcastle, like to keep them behind me until I could pull away just a little bit so they couldn't just stuff me back. Really helped on the Sunday final, just coming through the field when I started, I think 11th or 12th.
Makes sense. Well, Hayden, we'll let you get going here. Why don't you give the fans here and all the viewers one reason why they should put you on your fantasy pick for this week? How good are you feeling? What's your 30-second pitch to someone to make sure that you're in their top 5 picks for fantasy?
So, like, if you look at the eKarting News rankings, at the beginning of this year, it was like 6th and 7th place finishes. I did pretty good at NOLA, but penalty put me down the order. But then you go to Road America and Newcastle, and it's 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. And I think I'm just really understanding how to get it now.
Sweet. Well, Mr. Consistency, Hayden, we wish you best of luck. Thank you for joining us here on tonight's show. We'll let you get back to the books. When do you fly out? Sometime tomorrow night?
I'm driving with my grandpa after class tomorrow.
So you got a bit of a hike then. All right. Well, we'll be seeing you on the road somewhere then. We'll see you later this weekend, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, Aaron, it's finally time to get to the juicy stuff. I see that our green room's about filled up here. I don't know. Has he sold you on a top 5 pick for yourself for the weekend?
I don't know. I mean, if anybody else has noticed the theme, I'm pretty hard RPG right now just to challenge myself a little bit. But he makes a good point there. He certainly has brought the consistency up a bit, and he's been consistently, like you said, instead of like 6th, 7th, 8th, he's been 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, I think he would be 100% a very smart call to make for the viewers out here that wants to try to win the weekend.
Well, we'll be throwing some T-shirts to the wind here this weekend for the winners overall. You can make your picks at the links here in the description on Facebook, or if you go to the link tree on our Instagram or through our YouTube page. For any more info on that, you can always message on how to get involved. We're going to take our commercial break. When we come back, Connor Zilisch joins the show for the first time tonight and first time in a minute. Dalton Hanes will join us back in the studio. And Tony Tesoro is here somewhere around, and we've got him that'll join us as well. So we're excited to have him here in just a few moments. We'll be right back. Kart Store USA is a kart parts supplier that racers and retailers can count on when they need reliable advice and service. We focus on servicing all racers with honesty and pride while maintaining customer satisfaction. We carry a full stock of Kart Republic and Tony Kart chassis, as well as IAMI and Vortex Rock engines. We've also got a host of other parts available and in stock, such as products from Rev Performance Materials, Jekko Racing Seats, and more. We have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and on top of that, if your order exceeds $200, shipping is on us. Check out all we have to offer today by visiting us online at kartstore-usa.com.
At New Gen Motorsport, we're committed to using our 10-plus years of experience and knowledge to help grow the sport of karting from the bottom up. Our goal is to make karting more accessible to the average person, lessening the financial burden of getting started, and making the learning curve as small as possible. Our passion is training and developing drivers, mechanics, and engineers to not only be the best they can be in karting, but also for careers in the much larger world of professional motorsports. A strong foundation makes building bigger easier. Let us be that foundation for your karting and motorsports career. Be part of the new generation of motorsport. Contact us today to schedule your test day, arrive and drive race event, or to inquire about how we can help get you started in your own new gen racing kart.
Don't settle for a national engine builder. Take care of yourself with an international one. SRP Engines is a global industry leader in engine services, specializing in engine formulas such as KZ, OK, OKJ, and Mini 60. SRP Engines is the engine of choice for Magic Kart USA and helped power North America's #1 ranked pro shifter driver AJ Myers to the 2021 SuperKarts USA Pro Tour National Championship. SRP Engines can also service any spec engine class of your choice, including IAME and ROC divisions. However, if you're looking for the absolute choice when it comes to KZ shifter engines, there is nobody better. For more information, contact Amr Sanada at srp-engines.com. KC Happy Hour is proudly presented by the Rock Sonoma Karting Championship, presented by Cameron Race Promotions, the most competitive Northern California karting series. Featuring a 2-day format with practice on Saturday and racing on Sunday, multiple track configurations, and a massive prize structure including tickets to Rock Vegas, race car test opportunities, and race rewards. Rock Sonoma is the training ground of multiple national karting champions each year and race car champions as well. Featuring a full Rock Cup USA class structure with each race weekend streamed live via YouTube, it's a series you cannot miss. For more info, check us out online at zanzarukarting.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back here to KC Happy Hour. Aaron Hackmeister's back with me, and let's go ahead and we'll bring in a handful of our guests here to make up our full KC Fantasy League panel. Connor Zilisch joins us from the Classic Simulator. Thanks for joining us, Connor.
Yep, good to be back. It's been a minute, but it's good to be back.
It's good to be back here. Dalton Hanes is back with us after a little Forza break, so he's ready for action. And Tony was here. This is what Tony looks like right now. Oh, there! Look at that. Tony got the whole Speed Contest Racing gang. They're muted right now. I think Paulie's got the mic muted over there.
Hey,
there we go.
The sent me didn't work. We're having to use Paulie's phone.
Look at this rowdy bunch, you guys. My goodness, the whole Speed Contest here.
Oh, wow,
Everybody's in it, man.
We did it.
Man, what a group and we got here tonight, boys. All right, so
33 centimeters.
we will we'll pass it to them here where we can. This is going to get a bit chaotic with you boys in here. Let's go at least to the guys that we have one guy in each one. Oh, Tony, listen, I mean, look at you. You got a whole crowd behind you. I don't think anyone's going to be able.
There's nobody behind me.
Oh, now they're not
paying attention. It's a black wall.
Uh-huh.
And there's not even anything on the shelf. Look at that.
Tony, I'll be honest. Your attitude is really hurting my feelings tonight.
Well, you sent me a link that didn't work. I had to take Paulie's phone. Paulie was at the ice cream store eating ice cream, so I didn't know what to do. So I sat down here patiently and ate my Chinese food until he got back. Here I am.
I sent you. I swear I sent you.
You asked for
right.
Tony Tesoro. You got Tony Tesoro.
Something's wrong with it. I had just a Discord link. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted you to join us. Here we are. All right. Let's go on through here. So, Aaron, you already got some picks for us. You got your 5 to kick us off.
Yeah, so I think Weinberg has been a good choice all year. I'm going to stick with him for consistency. Also, he's been really solid rookie. I mean, between him and Fletcher, you got 2 really strong rookies. I think either of them are good picks just about any weekend. Marin was pretty fast. Was really fast has been really fast recently. He was really fast at Summer Nats and also at Utah. So he's been on an upswing recently as well. Diego Ramos, his Brillard teammate, I think will be there just as well. And then Colin Warren is my 4th pick. I think he's kind of still sitting there and looking really good. He debuted at GoPro like really strong, and he kind of stuck with that throughout America. And then Oliver Hodgson, who I don't think has run at all the previous year, but he's been super fast. He comes to Newcastle a good bit for some of these national races the last couple of years, I think. And I think he'll be really strong. He's won X30 World Final, whatever it's called, IME World Series World Final.
World Series,
really quick,
like baseball.
World Series,
yeah,
sure. Yeah, and so those are my 5 right there. I think that'll be a pretty strong crew right there.
Why you laughing?
For this upcoming weekend,
World Final Series, whatever it is.
To be
I know,
credited, I think it's the IME International Final, Aaron. You
Yeah.
were close. You were very
That's why I
close
was
on the
laughing
first
at
one.
Will.
All
I know they
right.
changed it because I thought it was international final, and I don't know. At
Yeah.
this point. I'm a
And
little
World
mixed up.
Series just came into mind. That all worked out just fine.
It works out good. It works out good
You're
here.
not having it tonight.
It is a no BS tonight here from Tony. All right. Let's go, Connor. Who do you got for your 5 this week here? Who do you got for your
Come on.
rookie pick
I don't
and
even-
then your 5?
I haven't even
Oh.
looked at.
Oh
Insulet
my
or
good! You didn't do
anything.
your homework, Connor. You've been
Dude,
sitting
he
here
is
for
a
20
professional
minutes.
race car driver
Oh.
now.
It's
He
not in
doesn't
the
need
Google
any of
Doc,
this.
dude.
Absolutely ridiculous. You know what, here, Connor?
Where's
We're
the
gonna.
entry list?
I will give you the entry list. It's very simple. It's on the fantasy entry. We're gonna set that up here. Dalton, do you at least have yours here? Well, I can send this over to Connor. Of course you don't. Both of the kids here are absolutely ridiculous.
Okay,
I have
We're not
picks.
gonna have
I
you guys
have
on.
picks.
No.
I
You know
have
what?
picks.
I want to hear
No.
from Tony first, honestly.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Tony has the entry list either. Tony might know.
I know. Okay, I don't even need a list. Okay, I know who races. All right.
Hold on. Wait a minute. We're talking about the fantasy pick, right?
Yeah,
And there's
5.
only 5 you can pick.
and one has to be a rookie.
Wow. Four of them are all on our team anyway. You sure that my biased pick should be included in your deal?
Do your bias picks. Come on,
Why is
hit,
there like
hit 'em with
20
it.
entries?
Huh?
It's a little bit lighter this week. We'll get to that, Connor.
Because it's August, man.
Yeah, it's end of the season. All right, Tony,
We'll
hit me
start.
with your 4 you've already got on your team. What do you got?
It's all gonna be all 4 of our guys. It'll be Paulie, Austin, Cam, and Jack.
Oh, are you telling me
I'm gonna
Austin?
leave out the. We can put Ryan in there if he wants to be, but we'll see what happens.
So is that for sure then that Austin's going to enter? Can you tell Mike to start pre-entering him? Because every time I make this fantasy
don't
league,
tell Mike to do nothing. Are you crazy?
I'm asking you, or tell
No,
him.
I'm not telling him to do nothing. You tell him to do it.
I'll tell him to do it. I texted Austin. You know what Austin told me? Austin said, I don't know if I'm racing. And I'm like, well, Austin, I can't put you on fantasy, and then someone's going to get 0 points, and they're going to mess with you. Why did I get 0 points?
Trying to figure what that was about because we didn't see him on there. We just thought you didn't like him anymore. So I told
No.
Austin I didn't like him.
No, because he never registers for the race. We pull the registration. Austin just wants to wait and make. See, here's the thing. I'm trying to save Mike money. Mike spends $100 more when he walks up at the racetrack and enters him.
I don't think he knows that. So why don't you text him?
I had Austin on my phone on my list as like a 6th pick because I was like, I want to pick Austin after what he did at Summer Nats, but I can't because he's not there. But I wanted to mention him because he never registers beforehand. Every time he shows up to an event, it's always like at the track.
So why don't you guys
Thursday
throw him
morning,
in the?
and Xander has to go
I'm
in
throwing him
and
in.
manually
Tony, I'll
The
tell
only
you.
thing I
I'm
can
throwing
tell
him
you
in
guys
now.
to do is you might as well just text Mike because I'm not going to be involved in that.
Well, all right. To Austin's credit,
I just work there.
I'm
to
ready.
Austin's credit, I know Braden Eves is running this weekend on the MPG Will Power Kart. Now, and looking back at this now, he didn't pre-enter either. So that's another big
Maybe
name
it's just
guy.
a little game they're playing with each
I
other.
guess,
Just want to
bro.
see who's going to surprise people.
Yeah, wow, big surprise. We show up Thursday morning, we see a go-kart on the grid. Okay, all right. So you got Austin, you got Cam, you got Jack. Who am I forgetting on your 4 on Paulie? Paulie, you guys. Yeah,
Jesus
Paulie.
Christ, you forgot
How you gonna forget Paulie,
seriously?
I like to. I mean, that was actually unintentional picking on Paulie. That's kind of on brand for me to do that anyway. But all right,
No.
fair enough. Let him know. You can pass the phone to him if you want.
I
Connor,
will. Hang on, Paulie. Xander forgot about you. He forgot to even add you like you didn't even exist. We were doing the picks, and I told him who it was, and he said it was. He forgot about you.
That's
All right. So,
he's used to it. He's used to it by now. Doesn't phase him. Connor, you
Yeah.
got your picks now?
yeah, I'm ready. So P1, I got Ryan Norberg.
Oh, we were doing it in order.
Apparently
Shit.
he's pretty good.
It doesn't have to be in order, Tony. It could be any 5.
okay.
No, you're
Alright.
good.
I
You're
can-
good.
Apparently he's pretty good. So I'm gonna go Ryan Norberg, and then I'm gonna go Nate Cicero. He's my number 2 right there. I'm gonna go Paulie. Every time I pick Paulie, he disappoints, but I gotta go Paulie. For my rookie, I'm gonna go Weinberg. He's been good. And then my 5th, my sleeper pick, I'm gonna go Hao Peng Zhang. I feel like he's been getting.
No,
better.
you're not.
Yeah.
I actually took
That's
him today, dude.
disrespectful,
He's
Connor.
on the uptrend. So
What is wrong with you, man? Oh my gosh.
I couldn't see it.
That's the over under. That's the over under.
He's had a
Yeah.
lot of
Dude.
testing. He might actually pull through.
I don't like anyone else on the list.
All right. Well, you could add Braden or Garrison as your
Oh, they're
fifth if you
racing?
need it. Yeah, both will be racing.
going
Tony says they're racing, so officially the word on the street. All right, we're gonna
No, sidetracked a little bit. Sorry.
sidetracked. All right. Tony,
That's a W.
focus up. Tony, listen.
Yeah,
You're saying Austin's racing, so right now we're going on the record. Officially leaked information from Speed Concepts Racing CRG per our insider Tony Tesoro. Austin Garrison's racing. Yeah.
You work for RPG, don't you?
No. Okay, keep going.
All right. I like your picks, Connor. Dalton, what do you got?
I want to put Logan Cossey at P1, but I know I can't because he will never race. I'll put Norberg P1.
You don't have to do the whole top 5 in order. Just 5 guys that are good.
Okay.
One's got to be a rookie.
Norberg, Weinberg, Fletcher, and then Kramers and Ramos.
All right.
Simple.
Fair enough. So here, let's go through. I'll go through here what we've got so far of the entries that have come in. I can tell you what our breakdown is right now. Overall, who's getting picked the most? Obviously, Ryan Norberg's a standard pick for everybody. He's got the most points. He swept the season, so he's been picked by just about everyone on the entry list so far. Jeremy Fletcher's the highest picked rookie right now and second highest overall. Cam Bam's only a couple votes behind him in terms of number of people putting Weinberg on the list, and I think that's smart. But we still need to talk about the other guys coming into the weekend that aren't on this list. So Austin Garrison, per our official leak.
No,
thanks
he's not.
to Tony.
There's no official statement.
No official.
No. I'm looking for Mike now. Now he's probably gonna come out this door yelling.
We're gonna call it officially if you put Garrison in. So okay, fine. Hands off. I'm not picking on Austin. I texted him actually. I texted Austin directly if he was gonna race, and he said he wasn't sure. He said probably not. So that was my intel, and I knew that they only walk up whenever they enter them. Braden Eves is not on the entry list, but he is going to be there racing with MPG Will Power Kart for Newcastle. Safe pick
Braden's
there.
racing?
Yep.
No, that's not a safe pick.
I probably should have picked Braden. I knew he was racing. I probably should have picked him for fantasy.
You don't think that's a safe pick?
Nah, I got to give some hate to my old teammate.
Oh, okay.
Nah.
Okay.
Braden's going to try to come from 17th to 1st like he always talks about doing when he did it one time. Not going to happen again.
Yeah, that's some pretty rough qualifying, but he could be quick. I think he's got a little fire under him. Josh Carr, no one mentioned yet. Former Supernats winners running this week. He's been out of the national kart seat for a little bit. I don't know if they gave him a whole lot of testing. He's running with J3 alongside Oliver Hodgson, so they'll have 2 guys there. They'll be running. Could be a really good pick. Yeah, he'll be under.
Yeah, it'll be
kart
interesting to see what he can do on that comp kart because I haven't seen one up at the front in a while. He did it in New Jersey, but that's in KA. It's different. It doesn't work the chassis as hard.
I don't think you're going to see one up front this weekend either.
I agree, but I don't know. You never know.
He's a good driver. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he is. If he gets a really good engine, then
so is Oliver.
It could happen.
Yeah, I think he could be good. I don't know. I like seeing different big names come back. We got a Supernats winner joining the field, so that's pretty cool. We've got obviously Hodgson is a solid guy, but the results just haven't come for him easily this year. They weren't that great last year. They were top 10. They weren't massive, but you look at Paulie here. Well, they were back in. We'll see if there's Tony. Yeah, I mean, here's the problem with Paulie. I didn't want to pick Paulie for Summernats, and we tell him to pick Paulie here for this race. Paulie ended up kissing the barriers Sunday afternoon at Summernats. So Paulie for the horse's mouth.
Wait a minute.
Oh, hold on. It was Saturday.
Yes.
Was it Saturday?
It was Saturday. Yeah.
You finished on Sunday?
Paulie, you gonna sell me out this weekend again? Every time I pick you,
Tony.
Finish P12.
Probably P12.
When? No.
That's a consistent pick at least.
All right. Hey, consistent at P12, but I think you can go better than that. So we'll
P12. You should not be looking for a P12.
There's like 12 carts on the entry.
Exactly. So no, there's more. But you can go better. I think
what's the number? What's the actual number?
We're gonna give you all you got. Boom. Everyone's getting a boot here except for Aaron because he's being respectful. I mean, I might bring Tony back in, but he's going to yell. So we're going to wait. We'll bring back Dalton. We'll bring back Connor. Bring back Tony.
You're so gay.
My goodness. We
as soon as you unmuted,
man, I was trying to save those guys. All right. We'll give them a sec before they come back. I think Norberg's safe. Obviously, a bet. I think Jeremy Fletcher is a good bet. I think Hayden Jones and Cameron are also very safe bets, and that's why they're in the championship fight. So if you want to go outside the comfort zone, I think Josh Carr is not going to get picked by a lot of people here this week, probably less than Oliver Hodgson. Hodgson will also be a national level talent, international level talent that might not get picked. And I think we're also sleeping a bit on Diego Ramos, who has been super
Ramos.
fast.
I said Ramos, dude.
Nobody
No,
said
no,
Cicero.
you aren't hyping him up at all, man. Look, this is the
I literally said Ramos.
No, you
I'm not
skipped
looking-
by him. You skipped by him.
No, I did not. Okay, I skipped by all my name. I literally did like quick. I said it quick, but I
Well,
said
you got to
Ramos.
add some elaboration here. So we're trying not just to make your picks, but to give some reasons as to why you pick these guys and why you have the guys that you do on your list, Dalton. That's the other half of it.
I wonder why he's coming in the top 5 all the time. Maybe because he's got more Gato's engine.
Do you think Ryan's going to sweep again?
All right, so that's
If
that's
Vegas
the real
is putting
question.
odds on it, what are the
Yeah.
odds?
Vegas odds on it. I don't know, man. I think
Vegas?
No,
Wait,
no,
are
he's
we
saying
saying
like,
Ryan to Vegas?
no, Dalton, focus. Listen
no,
up, Dalton.
No, wait.
I know this
'cause I'm
is
racing
hard
Vegas.
for you to understand from what Connor just said. He said if Vegas is putting odds on it, what are the odds that Ryan pulls off a sweep here this week on the live stream? I think
That's not happening.
I don't know how
It better not happen.
5 to 1.
It better not happen.
It's-
I'm gonna give someone some money. I might need to just cash out some money to someone who just needs to take him out. Just like give someone else a win for USPKS. I don't.
All right,
I don't want to
Dalton.
look down and see Ryan's name.
Dalton's getting booted out of here again. We just can't seem to get through any one of these pre-race shows without Dalton just wanting to go off on somebody. My goodness. Okay.
Ryan has won, I think, was it the last 6 or 7 finals in a row? Like overall, his season record is like 9-3 or 9-4 or something like that. Like it is ridiculous how consistently first he has been this year. His last loss was the was it the Rock Cup race that he did in 100cc, or was it? No, it was NOLA. It was the first round of NOLA. It was the last time that he has not won a race. So I put the odds at him.
You think it's worth me racing Miami Grands?
Well, I actually wanted to piggyback that onto you, Con, man. So listen, dude, you are the last one that seemed to really be able to take it to him at the end of last year after the new engine stuff came out. So what was the secret?
I don't know what. I really wasn't, though. That's the thing. I mean, Super Nats I should have won.
I think you were the closest.
Super Nats I should have won. I think Allison Racing Engines, I've been with them for 9 years now, and I've never been disappointed with my power. So as much as people complain about it, obviously Ryan and them, they've got good stuff, and I haven't really been in it the last 8 months to
But you didn't say that in KA, did you? Too? It was only just X30 that was good for Allison, or just was it KA?
KA the last year my KA
Pretty
stuff
good.
was good. I should have won Super Nats in both classes, but
I'm just checking.
yeah, Tony, thanks. But yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna go testing and we'll see what we got. But I think
Connor, are you racing this weekend?
No,
I'm not racing.
You're not
anywhere
racing anywhere this weekend?
Actually, this is my first weekend in 25
walk up,
weekends.
Walk
I'm
up
not
entry,
racing.
Newcastle, Connor Zilisch, gonna break Ryan Norberg.
But be careful, it's $100.
I'll put Connor P1.
Be careful.
I would.
If
put
you're
Connor
paying
P1.
Tony, I'll race for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you gonna pay?
I'll donate 50 of the 100 extra that it takes to register, because obviously nobody knew it was 100 extra.
Hey,
At
that's
the end of the day, I
50
still
bucks
think-
more than what you got right now, Connor, to throw you on into the race.
$50.
50 bucks more.
I don't
Come
know.
on, Connor,
about
you
all
got
that.
2 days
We're
to get there,
only,
Connor. Come on.
according to everybody in the comment section, we're only about $9,950 short.
Is that all it costs to race nowadays? I thought it
Apparently,
was more
that's what
than that.
everybody spends nowadays.
I thought
Well,
it was.
it depends. Do you have to pay for Tony to come and tune for you? I hear Tony's got a big fee. Right, Tony?
No, I just cleaned the tent.
At the end of the day, I still think
Tony,
that
how's your
there's gonna be a lot
CRG
of
rolling?
full-time
Is that
for
thing
Ryan.
rolling, or are y'all struggling?
No struggles.
Are you guys good like Thursday and then Friday you're decent, Saturday you're meh,
All
and
day.
Sunday you suck, or are you good all
All
the way
day.
through?
No, all days, every day.
When's the last time you guys won a race?
Thursday to Sunday.
When's the last time you guys won a race?
I don't. March? I don't know.
What was
Is
Austin?
this the
Oh,
weekend?
Hayden just won last race. What are you talking about? Junior, senior? What do you want? Mini?
Senior. I like senior. Senior is where it's at.
Oh, okay. Oh,
This weekend, right? This weekend.
Yeah.
All right.
this
I
weekend.
got faith in you, buddy. I got
All
faith.
right.
You got some good drivers.
I know you do.
If it's
I definitely.
if you're not winning, I don't know. Paulie's pretty good. Austin's good.
I
Paulie
definitely
Nelson
think
get
it's
there.
going to be a
You
really
winning this
close race for
weekend?
the front.
You
Paulie,
got
you got-
anything for him?
No, Paulie said he's 12th this weekend, right, Paulie? P12?
Maybe 11th, unless Bocuse wrecks me. But maybe 11th.
Jeez.
Oh, I forgot about Bocuse.
All you
Yeah,
got.
there's a little rivalry going on there. We're going to close on out of the show here for now. Let's go ahead and at least kind of circle back on what we've got. If you're looking on KC Fantasy, we'll touch base. Obviously, we got Tony, our official leak. Thanks, Tony, for the leak. Appreciate it.
Good.
I'll make sure to let Mike know.
Yes. Text him.
Yep, I'll tell him you told me.
Okay. Say goodbye to Paul. I got to go play Mortal Kombat now.
Yep, go ahead. Later. But maybe Austin Garrison, if he's on the entry list, was up there. Ramos is going to be really good. Kremers will be really, really good. Paulie was
Ataconis,
close.
come on.
Justin
yeah,
Ataconis
is Ataconis
slept
racing?
on. Ataconis has been running USPKS exclusively this year, so Justin Ataconis has been a top 5 to top 10 guy, and everywhere he went, I was hoping he'd be a little closer at Road America, but I think he's got less seat time there than GoPro, so I think it's a little more impressive at GoPro.
That's
Was
my
onto
guy.
the podium there.
I think he'll be good.
I think he'd be a really underrated rookie pick. I agree. I think Justin Ataconis has slept on big time. I mean, just like you said, Dalton, you go through 20 guys on this grid, and there's a lot you could say a whole lot about. Obviously, Nate Cicero is going to be really fast. He had one race here last year where he won by over 7 seconds. Marian Kremers can be fast. I think the Burrell guys, where they've been chasing on chassis setup, now they've got 3 supposedly really, at least between him and Ramos, they were really, really good. Mauricio Hernandez, he was top 10 at the Florida Winter Tour earlier this year, and now he's with them through to the end of the year, which will be his kind of U.S. official, re-debut. Could be interesting. Obviously, when you go down the RPG group, Donovan Bonilla was consistent, but he got outraced pretty bad at Summer Nats. I think Paul Bocuse got into it, obviously, with Paulie. Both of them, I'm sure, no love lost there. That's been going on all season. But
I definitely
Colin
like looking at the
Colin
entry
Warren could
list.
be good.
I definitely like looking at the entry list and seeing that it's getting harder and harder to do these fantasy picks because everyone's really close right now. Obviously, you're going to have Ryan in the top 5, but if you look at even Summer Nats, it was a battle at the beginning, for a lot of drivers. It wasn't just RPG, there were quite a few drivers. Obviously, you're going to see the RPGs in the top 5, but then you're getting to see a lot of other teams just pushing for it, and that mid pack and the front pack is getting so extremely close that the racing it's just made the racing better, and it's made it harder to make these fantasy picks.
Yeah, I mean, and Ryan's talked about it here too. When they got the jump at the start of last year, Connor, I'm sure, had probably the most regretful line of the entire second season of Kart Chaser, asking Ryan if he was tired of losing yet. Right, Con Man?
No, I won a few races past that.
You did, but that was
then the new exhaust
warning
came
shot.
out, and then I started losing. Whenever that new exhaust came out, that's when I went P3.
when everybody
Before that, I was
started losing.
P1, and after that, I was P2. Ryan Norberg P1 every weekend, just magically with a new exhaust.
Well, it wasn't just the new exhaust. There was
And
some
then
other new stuff.
Super Nats, we showed up. I had the new serial engine, whatever. I think it's A. It starts with an A, and then I was fast again. So, I think I need some revenge, and that's why I'm going to be coming back for Amy Grands and Super Nats this year. Cause
I'm also excited for Amy Grant's Super
Connor,
Nats.
I think you come back for CKNA Grands as well. You and Dalton both need to come run the CKNA Grands.
That would be fun.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot going on.
Yeah,
but
I
that's a
don't know.
good point, right? You guys, Super Nats seem tight. I think no doubt Super Nats will be tight this year. But the jump they had was no different than how Gary and Chris Wareheim were. Gary Carlton and Chris Wareheim were on the show last week and talked about how when they have a new spec come out from Europe, some of the factories might have a jump on the American guys. And the American guys eventually caught up. Sweet Tech, Gary said, took about a year. They've caught up, and they've got KCs that can go head-to-head with SRP, with TM Factory. And I think we're starting to see that. Ryan knows that evolution is coming. And so that's something that you could see as soon as this weekend, or maybe Miami Grands, or maybe it comes till Super Nats where it looks kind of a little more level again. But like you said, Dalton, I mean, the fields, there's a lot of guys beyond Ryan you could pick. And kind of like what Hayden mentioned in his interview, I mean, Ryan's a very smart guy out there and has been in the lead pack for a while at every single weekend. So when you're in that more, you have more, you're more used to making those split decisions of how to race guys. And that was the big thing that, to me, Connor, I thought kind of put you above a lot of other rookies that you were in your class last year, was the thinking on the racetrack of, you know, how to judge each guy, how to race them, when to block, when not to block, when to pass them, when not to, on the fly, right? I mean, to me, that's the biggest thing when the field tightens up like the way it is. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, and even like basically all last year, it wasn't quite like this year. I'm just looking at results and stuff. Obviously, there's Ryan who has been dominating, but behind that, it's really been pretty close from 2nd to 10th or so, and that's when it really just becomes less about how fast you are and more about how well you can race, and that's just really a big part of it. And even racing MX5 Cup, it's kind of the same thing, where everyone, once you get the draft, everyone's pretty close in speed, so it's really just how well you can race. And so obviously that has translated well, and I think that's super important to just being a good driver, is being able to race well and make those smart decisions in every situation.
I think probably the hardest part about running X30, when you're a privateer or even with a team, honestly, is just there's always those front 3 or 4 guys that get away initially, and then there's just an absolutely insanely long pack, like right there. And I think the challenge of the whole weekend, for me at least most weekends, is literally just to get ahead of that pack. And as soon as you do, the racing becomes so much easier, because you're basically just running the laps by yourself, like, or you're just following someone else, but you're in the top 3 or 4. So it's not really like stressful, but you look back and like 20, 30 feet behind you, there's like 10, 15 go-karts in a line. And that pack is like all about, like what Connor said, it's all about Racecraft as to who gets to the front of that and like who's the best at racing at that point. It's not even really about speed anymore. It's just about, because everyone's so close, it's just about everyone can run the same fast lap, you know? Everyone can, it's got to the point where everyone's so close in skill that you can all run just about the same exact lap. So it just depends on who's better at passing through the pack, and who's going to get 5th place.
And it's a big mentality change too. When you're in a pack, right, you're focused a lot more on decision making, and then when you're running in the lead group, you're focused more on hitting your marks, not trying to overheat the tires and stuff like that. And you know, guys that are like in Ryan's case, they can kind of multitask. You know, they can make those right decisions and not dive bomb a guy to the point that they overcook their stuff a little bit early in the session. You know, or are not hitting their marks, you know, when you can think on both fronts. I think that's key. And that's where, like, you know, it looked like Hayden was a lot better at Summer Nats of thinking about that, not getting rattled, not getting too sucked into thinking 100% on battle and thinking, you know, 70% battle, and still being able to battle out, and then also hitting marks when you need to as well. So we'll see more of it. Connor, thanks for joining us again here. We might see you.
Thanks for having me.
Might see you soon. We know we're going to see you on the track soon for Miami Grand, so we're excited for that for sure, man. That'll be cool.
That'll be fun.
You got some redemption in that X30 to shoot.
Yeah.
Is there any news? Have they haven't released anything for that yet, have they?
I don't think so.
So what we do know is all of the purses from last year, what the purses ended at. I believe what they ended at, because they ended at a whole lot higher than where they started. All those minimums are already set. They were already set, like, and hit from a funding perspective and sponsorship perspective by like Summer Nats last year, 2 weeks after. That's all good. Format will be the same. We're going to have mechanic races Thursday night. We're going to have multiple track configurations, including a separate track for a shootout for KA and a shootout for X30. We'll probably do the picks the same way, where there'll be top 8 or so in points from the heats. It'll be 2 promoters picks, 2 random draws, and a fan vote for each day, where everyone will get to vote on Facebook and tag people or vote their favorite driver, which was a big hit last year. So all that the same, which if the purses are the same, that means $5,000 to win in that X30 shootout, $2,000 or $2,500 to win the KA shootout, and $7,000 to win the X30 Pro main, which could be really cool. So yeah, big money.
Yeah, no, I mean, and one of the things that weekend, the difference in that weekend is the money comes from one race. So usually you're thinking the whole weekend and Saturday and Sunday, so you have to be smart and actually finish, and it's better to finish second than to wreck. But when you get to that race, it's better to finish last with a chance of winning than second knowing you could have won. So it creates a good show, so it'll be fun to watch.
It will be a hell of a show. Boys, it's been a good night. It's been a little bit wild. We thank everybody for tuning in. We hope you guys will watch this weekend's event from USPKS Newcastle. And this show, obviously, a little more of the talk show and kind of off-the-cuff stuff that we've been accustomed to. We'll have some more deeper in-length podcast in the gap weeks between here and Miami Grands, including some stuff on the CKNA Grands that I'm excited about. We got some cool guests that will be coming on that should be really, really cool. Again, there's some more excitement to come with SKUSA Supernats, with Miami Grands, Rock Vegas. We're getting more and more that's coming out on those events as they get closer. For this week, we will see you guys when we go live Saturday morning. Post coming earlier this weekend. Fantasy picks are open till Friday night at midnight. And as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in to KC Happy Hour. We will see you next Tuesday to wrap things up.